Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome back to the 2023 Spilling the Astro Tea panel with myself. And today we have the numerology. I want to call you a numerology nerd because you are just like me, a numerology nerd, Sarah Yip, the one and only Sarah Yip. Welcome, darling.
Thank you. I take that as a compliment.
I'm always calling myself a numerology nerd, but if you know Sarah's work, you know that she's the ultimate numerology nerd, and she can just, she will flip things off. She knows the countries that have the numbers and the words, and I love her work, and you are all in for a treat. This is the last and final panel and podcast and episode of this 2023 panel. I liked to end it, obviously, we had all of the astrology interviews, and then we have our Chinese astrology interview, which if you haven't listened to yet with Renee, listen to that. And this is our numerology, because as you all know, I love all of the things, and I think it's really important to tap into all of the tools. And if you listened last year, Sarah was another guest for a little special guest last year as well, when she talked about this 2022 that we are still in as we're recording this, and that was the 222 with the 0 and the 6. Yeah. And if you haven't listened to that yet, still go back and have a listen, because you'll get lots of insight into what Sarah talked about for 2022 as well. But now we get to talk about something really big, Sarah, and I want to get straight into it with you. I've got some notes here, but as usual, we're going to hand it over to you, and you're going to just unpack for everyone this 2023, which is a collective 7, and sort of give us some insight and some tools and some things to work with, and just, explain that 7 to us, darling. Like, let us know. Tell us all the things.
Oh, well, firstly, I'm just so grateful to be here, and thanks to everyone who's watching this. And I love Tiani's work so much. This is fun and cool. And yeah, I'm the nerdiest of them all. It's true.
Yes, she
is. I enjoy that. I so enjoy it. So the 7 energy is interesting because I actually started my blog mainly because of 7 energy people. They used to come up to me after numerology classes or research on the internet and say, it just sounds so intense for 7s. Is it true? Is it true? Are we all going to be like super quirky, eccentric, misunderstood people? And I just felt that wasn't true. So I went and did a lot of research with actual 7 people. I've written a lot of blogs, and, my husband actually specializes in 7. So I feel like I've got a bit of a handle on the energy. So the first thing is that in the system I use, it is linked to the chakras. And so if you know Reiki, yoga, or almost any energy healing, you can automatically start doing numerology, which is why I love it. So of course, 7 is the crown chakra. So this is very much the energy of kings, queens, and angels. And so the 7 as the crown or halo is, can you see your wholeness? Can you see your holiness? Are you your own church? Church has a 7 energy, which I think is interesting, as we see all these things come out of the woodwork with the Vatican. I've read for people who are working with the top of the Vatican. So
wow, I am blown away. So church is a 7.
Yeah, and so is mother. And it has to be said that if you have a really strong, loving relationship with your mother, I personally believe you probably have less need for a really authoritative, rigid church. There is a real softness and womb quality to those really well set up. Like, I love churches. I love the energy of them, the beauty of them, the sacredness, the chambers, the rituals. And at the same time, I also feel like they've developed because we lost something along the way. We lost that sense of safety within our own bodies, within our own families, within nature. We saw nature as trying to kill us. Nature has a 7 energy. So it's like, if we can sort of go back to, I guess, worshipping nature in 2023, a lot of things are going to start falling back into place. Really, the biggest thing I noticed, and this is really strong in the New Age industry, is a lot of people get super in their heads and they're doing all this like wordy, trying to sort of perfect their spiritual epiphanies. But if you don't have a really grounded, dirt under your nails connection, you actually probably perpetuate more harm, I believe.
Oh so my God, I love you.
Very funny.
We all know how much I love you, but yes, that is like the supreme sentence. If you do not have the dirt underneath your nails, if you are not, honoring yourself, which is the holy church of everything, and you're still giving all of your power away to these, you've nailed it.
It's very much a dangerous path to think that the New Age realm has the answers that the church doesn't. In fact, they'll both lead you in the same directions, which is that you have to go through certain people and pay certain prices in order to access heaven. And in this 7 year, what we're going to see is both those industries are going to have a lot of revolution. And I mean, I'm planning to be part of the New Age one. Of course, I've always been in there shaking all the vines, as have you. So yeah, look, in general, 7 is about thinking for yourself. It's about experiencing yourself as the church, yourself as the spiritual teacher and the student. You hear a lot of people say things like, my child is my greatest teacher, or my partner's my greatest teacher. And I always question that. I always say, well, actually, you're your greatest teacher. You're creating your body. You brought yourself down from the planets. It's like, what happened if we just allowed ourselves to center in that? Life would be so much simpler. So, and I know you've pointed this out in your beautiful survival kit, which I'm loving. So, you know, 7 is about that simple truth that we are all of the universe. And even if you want to like send love to, say, the Ukraine or a person, that's actually a point on your matrix. You can send it through a portal in your body. So there's just all these really simple truths that are going to come out. I feel like a lot of people are going to move away from these extreme, almost cult-like belief systems into what works in daily life. 7 energy is always about trial and error. It's the mad scientist. It's the misunderstood genius. It's the nutty professor. All my favorite types of people, of course, is the oddballs and the misfits. So what I'm loving about, it sounds strange, but what I'm loving about the post-COVID era, although I have to admit it's still around, is that the meditation rate went up, what was it, 30%? And I felt that because as someone who meditates every day to bring down information for my clients, I used to be able to just create a direct line with spirit, bring down a chart in 15 minutes. When COVID hit and everyone was praying, it would take me so long. It was like the internet was lagging. I had to start doing charts at night or at like 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And I knew it was because everyone was praying. Everyone was like, help. And so I just feel like a lot of people have actually held on to those practices, and especially with those with children, with these children being so advanced and psychic. We're in a world now where it's not quite physical anymore, is it? It's not only digital, but it's ethereal. So you've talked about it, Tiani, going more into this AI realm. I think, yeah, we're pretty much there, aren't we? And so it's not only in a technology space that we'll all sort of be working as avatars, and we have to just get comfortable with computers being part of our lives, but starting to embrace ourselves as multidimensional beings. So yes, I'm a body here, but I tell you what, I've got like multiple cells who are doing things all over the shop. It's a bit like being a human octopus. A lot more of my clients are starting to discover this. And because I love working with people starting businesses, I say to them, how do you think Richard Branson can handle so many companies? I mean, this type of person uses telepathy automatically.
Very true.
And so if you want to work at that level of frequency, at some point you have to let go of needing to control everything. So next year, I'm looking forward to it, but I think a lot of people are in for a sort of painful thump. Absolutely. I personally believe that if you have a belief system, a spirituality that is robust, that is grounded, that is healthy, that is non-judgy, that you're going to actually be in huge demand. I see people literally thronging to anyone who does yoga, meditation, energy healing, psychics, anything in those realms. I particularly see this because of the children. So I work with spirit babies, I work with real babies, mums, all that stuff. And what we know is the babies who came through from COVID are really, really different. I mean, who looks at the television in heaven and says, oh, look, they've locked everyone up and everyone is miserable. Let's go incarnate as a human. The kids who came down 2 years ago, who are now like my Ziggy's age, they are old souls. They have been through the wars. They are like, you know, they're like on a mission to help humanity. They are not expecting a carefree childhood. Like, they're here to work. My Ziggy, he's got the Dyson out. He's not even 2. He's done stacking the dishes. He's like, wow. And a lot of people are reporting this, that these children are parenting them. And so that's also going to drive a lot of teachers, parents, anyone who's you know, associated with them into spiritual pursuits, because you've got these kids who do not respond to violence. They can't be coerced. They speak back not only verbally but energetically. They're literally like baby Grogus. They can telekinesis stuff. So I know this is going to sound wacky, but I've got plenty of evidence. I've got videos, photos. I've had people with me when those things have happened. We're just so capable. We're so capable. And I also feel that there's been so much death in the last few years that people have like collapsed a lot of their life goals and bucket lists.
Yes.
I feel like a lot of those, all that paperwork, really, it was actually just a copy paste of what we've been told to want. Anyway, I should just pause for a minute, but is some of this resonating with you?
No, like, I mean, of course, not some of it, all of it. And yeah, that, you know, many things, you know, that you've said, or everything that you've said, of course, is so seven and is so, you know, exactly, you know, the preparation. I mean, the last 7 year that we had was 2014. So we can go back and look at that cycle and what was going on for us then. And so from then we've gone 8, 9 completed. We're at the 7 year of this new 9 year cycle collectively. And this is the pointy end. And what you're saying is, of course, very similar to what I've said, but you say other fucking magical things that I love. And I've already got like a page of notes that I've written already. I hope everyone else, I mean, Sarah talks so quickly and I've got Mercury and Gemini and I talk like a fucking speed racer. So I mean, she's, and I'm like, oh, I missed that.
It's like the east-west bullet train suddenly merged.
Yeah, east-west bullet train, the numerologist, the astrologist, it's all happening. But yeah, you know, this 7 is this pointy end of the stick. And I've said in my kit, you know, my coined quote is, are you in alignment or in a lie? And this is where exactly what Sarah said, if you have been actually doing the work, grounded, dirt under your nails, you know, the spiritual work, you will be in high demand, because that is what people are craving now. And everything else is going to start to fall away.
They will pay whatever it takes. Like, they will fly to you, they will pay money, they will like, because at this point, they've realized everything else can be taken away. A lot of us realize that a little bit sooner, but that's not a judgment. It's just a thing that happens. A lot of healers have really tough childhoods where they don't get that security blanket. And so they have to reach. They have to reach and they have to stretch. But yeah, a lot of people, the bucket list has been deleted. The computers have shut down. And they're just sitting around going, I have the rest of my life and I'm not really sure what to do with it.
And so the collective 7 will be that, like, you know, everything that you've said too, it's like, it's a year of the loner, discernment, spiritual transformation, magic, going within, going into yourself and asking yourself. I mean, when you talked about this whole, oh my God, it's 11/11. Yes, it's 11/11. And we're doing this on the 21st of the 11th as well. It was an 11-day yesterday. But like, I love that you've talked about church being a 7 and, you know, of course, the crown chakra, the halo, the holiness. And I'm just like, yes, like, we are our own church. I often, you know, talk about my, sometimes when I have an astrology rant, I'm like, thank you for coming to my sermon. You know, like, the thing is that we're our own gurus and we're our own church, you know, like, and I love that you're talking about that.
You are a 33. 33 has the priest and rock star vibration, so that doesn't actually surprise me. And of course, 6s were highly activated this year, getting ready for the 7s, creating all their communities and getting ready to like enroll them, basically. So yeah, in a nutshell, so 7 life path people are going to really be feeling it even from now. The energy started coming in from October. So a 7 life path person, the 7 looks like a detour. They take the long way to the top. And often it appears that they do not learn from their mistakes. But what it is they are here to really understand a certain lesson. They are specialists. And along the way, they help a lot of people to wake up. So 7 energy looks like a cliff as well. And it's where we take that jump from the material to the immaterial. And again, that's what I talked about with the bucket list being deleted. And it's just this whole new world of, what do I want to do with my life? What is the meaning of life?
Yes. What is the meaning? That is the question of the 7. What is the meaning? Yes.
Yeah. Well, when I work with 7 energy people, whether that's the life path, the name, lots of 7s, whatever, what I love about them is they don't accept what you say. So they are the most difficult students. I've always said that. They ask the most questions and then they come back later going, just to clarify. Or they'll say, "I found this article saying the opposite." And so I've
Mm.
always loved that, because I I have an academic background, and I feel that that's a real community service, because what they do is nothing gets past them. They stay up at late at night, making sure that what you've said is like honest. And so having sevens in your life is painful at times, but it's also it will purify you. So, and sevens being tricky students, I've noticed many of them get labelled at school, and that can carry into a certain sense of resistance to being told what to do. So, for example, at school, they're often much faster than a lot of other people, and they just tone it down, don't stand out, don't put your hand up so much, or even they can be labelled kind of stupid, because if a teacher disrespects them as a soul, they just arc up.
Yeah.
And so you often see them, whether it's they've had some sort of special needs or giftedness. And so, again, it's all part of them being spiritual teachers. So what this has to do with next year is I see more and more people dropping out of the conventional schooling system, not just as children, but as adults. So obviously traditional ways that we upskill institutions, but we can already see COVID has decimated a lot of them and also exposed a lot of their real priorities. So a lot of people, I believe, there'll be this homeschooling, including at-home learning. I always enjoyed teaching numerology from my lounge. It meant I could feed people. We could go watch the birds in the garden. It's not for everyone, but it's a really village way of living. It's very sustainable. And in a way, if you go to a teacher's house, you know for sure what they're about, don't you? They can't hide. You can't hide the dirty laundry. You can see if they're like in alignment. So yeah, it's not for everyone, but I just wanted to show that as an example.
Yeah,
so yeah, the main thing about next year is you will feel a deep urge to cleanse, purify, simplify, and detox. You may at times be quite ruthless about protecting your privacy and space. You may find that your no doesn't come with a justification like it has until now. You will probably find that you're craving nature in all its glory, whether it's water, mountains, volcanoes, just anything where wildness is celebrated, where the earth hasn't been tamed. We're likely to see a lot of breakthroughs in technology and healing, but from the energy or quantum perspective. So where previously things were sidelined, we may find that people are crowdfunding them or just going, well, it works, let's just actually support it. So yeah, something's turning. I can't quite put my finger on it, because even with my intuitive work, I'm only probably like 5 minutes ahead. It's not still like 5 years. It's just a little preview. And I think that's good. Otherwise, I'd probably go crazy.
And we want, and this is the thing, even as I say, as an astrologer, I mean, yes, I can, there's things that I've written a whole book on 2023, but you know what, there's still a whole world of fucking mystery. There's still so much that I've missed and I will miss, because we haven't, I feel like I've experienced it, but at the same time I haven't, because we know everything, but we know nothing. And we've got to really, be in the suspension of that, knowing that we know everything, but knowing that we know nothing, and finding the humility in that. And a collective 7 year is like, I think you said will be a painful thud for some people, but for other people, if they're in alignment, things flow. And I do often find, when you're in a personal 7 year, because again, Sarah's talked extensively about that 7. If you're a life path 7, again, even if you're born on the 7th, if you're a 7-day or a 7 life path, or, especially if you've had a reading with Sarah, she's going to have gone through so many of your numbers with you if there's lots of 7s. But even if you're in a personal 7 year too, that's going to be really, because it means that you're actually in collective alignment. So if you're in a personal 7 year, it means that each year you're in the same energy as the collective year. So that really amplifies the energy too. And the 7 is, it's a very big turning point. You're right.
It is. And the 777 or the 711 codes will also appear to people with a strong 7 energy or a 7 purpose. So that's another way of knowing.
It's 1117 right now. 1117. Yeah, sorry, I had to say that.
Yeah. So whether you do numerology or not, your soul will show you what you have come to do. So yeah, personal 7 years for me have always been a lot of necessary change, a lot of miracles, a lot of prayers. And I would say it's an unsettling time during which you'll find that your rituals and practices and your core tribe become critical to your sanity. It's a stripping away type year. And if you
Yes.
are not hiding anything, then you can revel in the nakedness of the 7 year. But if you have been wearing a lot of falsehoods and you know what I mean? Yeah, it's going to be super embarrassing. But hey, I love that kind of, like, I'm up for that. I'm a pretty confronting person. So
yeah, it is. It's so stripping away. And I just want to just quickly also talk about the crown chakra, obviously being the 7th chakra. And I talk very much around, again, this, you know, everyone's, like you said earlier, in the spiritual, wanting to activate all of these things, but no one's got the dirt under their nails. And that is the Earth Star chakra. And something that I've taught for pretty much 20 years, because I did a lot of chakra work in my early 20s as a, you know, foundation for everything that I do, is that without the Earth Star chakra being activated, that crown chakra doesn't work anyway. And you said that it's damaging, you know, you said something along the lines of, you know, those spiritual teachers who are only in that realm, that's actually toxic. That's not real.
It's too top heavy and it becomes a bureaucracy. Yes, so
exactly.
in the end, the 7 energy is going to be about a spiritual education. And it's about allowing people into your classroom or your church. And so I think a lot of people will be challenged by actually having people wanting to access them, and they may not feel confident. But as I mentioned, the 7 energy is to just experiment and allow. So the word mother has a 7 energy, as does the word empathy. And courage, actually, and flower. So what you see with that 7 energy, and it's the willingness to put it all out there and to potentially have it die or potentially have it suffer. And it's, I mean, as a mum, it's heart-wrenching at times to watch your children grow out of you in a way. But what we're going to see in the next year is that there's a gift in it as well. There's that gift of surrender. There's the gift of watching your children fly, supported by all their guides and their helpers. And there's the gift of allowing yourself to keep evolving. So, yeah, those are the main qualities I notice. And the main thing I feel that's driving it is mainly the younger generation, because they have life paths that pop a lot earlier. So the life path comes from the sum of your date of birth. You're a 33, I'm a 29. We both had changes then. Almost all the children now, they have a pop in their primary school or high school years. So, for example, my son Ziggy is a pure 9, and at 9, pretty sure he'll have a music school. And so those children simply can't wait for us to hold them back. They will just bore through us, whether it's telepathy or hounding, and they want to change the world now. And I'm excited about that and somewhat anxious, but the main thing is just to see them as souls. 7 energy is like, see people as souls. Sometimes your child has an older soul than you. That doesn't mean they can't learn from you. You've been here for a while. You've got some great hacks. But, you know, don't be afraid to just like listen to them.
My youngest daughter is that. So she's a stellium in Sagittarius, Aries rising, Virgo moon, and in my womb she told me that she had been here more than I have. Like, she is an older soul than me, and this is my last lifetime here. So
that's
I'm assuming it's
why
hers too.
I mentioned it to you.
Yeah, it's just crazy. Like, she just has this energy that I think could intimidate a 40-year-old. I mean,
what
she
number
just does.
Is she in numerology?
She's an 8.
Yeah, well, the boss, the professional. So her big year will obviously be, you know, 2024. Look, the 8s come here to play God. And they come
my eldest daughter and my youngest daughter are both tigers, and they're both 8s.
Well, I'm guessing there's something about you that gets activated by those powerful people. I have a saying that you can't win with an 8 in front of you and you can't lose with an 8 behind you. So maybe they came to be like your little rocket launchers.
Absolutely, you're so right. Yes, and it that makes so much sense too, because obviously I was a mum at 16. My eldest daughter is now 24, so she was my first 8, and then my youngest daughter, who's turning 12 next week, you know, she's my younger 8, and they're both full. Like, all 3 of my daughters are full of fire. I've got no fire in my chart, really. It's just, you're so right though. You know, I love that. You're just amazing.
I specialize in families and groups, which is the next level of learning. And so a lot of people, they have basic understanding of chakras, numerology, astrology, but what we're talking about in the 7 years, people really becoming practitioners, because without that deep knowledge, it just gets either lost or misused. You know,
Absolutely.
I've done palmistry for a long time. That has a 7 energy. That's all about being able to recognize your soul journey. And even just a little palmistry, you know, that mythology that your lifeline says how long you'll live, when it's actually just your root chakra vitality. It's hurt a lot of people. I get people who, you know, they're told they never have kids and all those things. And I can clearly see the lines. The palm reader, so-called palm reader, is looking in the wrong place or has a problem with children. And so I feel like it's important that we educate others to our level and beyond so that they can hold us accountable. And it's something that a true teacher is not afraid of. There's that beautiful saying, a master has failed more times than a beginner has tried. So we're going to see who are the true teachers in the next year and who are the ones who actually are just sucking power from their followers and who really, they're just creating another pyramid. And
I'm all for that. I am so friggin' here for that, Sarah. I've been waiting for it. It's all this illusion. And Saturn moves into Pisces for the first time in near 30 years next year. Pluto moves into Aquarius. Again, everything is crumbling, and Saturn in Pisces again will still show the crumble, because Saturn is work, you know, Saturn is the work, and Pisces is the spiritual, you know, the spiritual entertainment industry, I call it, you know, because it's this level of, again, sucking from the followers, and there's no true substance to so many of these so-called coaches, teachers, all the things, and the 7-year will call everything out. And I think that I wanted to just say this before we sort of wrap up, is that when Sarah was talking about like the earth and, you know, coming back into that, that's exactly what my invitation to, again, with that earth star chakra, knowing that you can't actually really receive that crown chakra wisdom without really be anchored into the earth chakra, which is, of course, the earth, and is being grounded and stable. I mean, the word grounded, again, has also been misused, because actually to be grounded means to be mentally stable, which a lot in the spiritual industry aren't. So we're going to see, again, that mental instability, because it's the mind, it's the crown chakra.
Yeah, when a 7 is out of whack, they go down the rabbit hole and annoy all the rabbits. So, and by the way, rabbit has a 7 energy. So we're in the year of the rabbit 7 energy. Going to be so extreme. So I've got a forecast coming out on that. Being Chinese, obviously, that stuff's
of course
up my alley too.
Oh my God, I'm so excited.
Well, look, the 7 energy can turn to skepticism and paranoia. You can't trust the government. You can't trust, turn off all your technology. They're spying on you. And yet, if you've ever experienced any like ghosts or really like proper psychic readings, you'll know that spirit is very fair and very like even. And so,
yes,
you know, it does make me sad, but in a way, I went through those experiences of a lot of shucksters, and it helped me to understand where I was conning myself, thinking that I knew everything, thinking that, because I have a science background, thinking that science was never manipulated by the money used to fund it, and just it was my own sort of painful awakening in that respect. So all I can suggest is, if you are a healer or in this spiritual realm, it's going to be such a good year for you, and just allow people to come to you and reward you for all your hard work, because you don't have to be perfect. My dad taught me that, which I'm grateful for. So all my family are teachers. He was once asked to run a course in a subject he had never taught him. And being a number 5, he's like, sure.
Yeah.
And so he said the secret was he would just read the next chapter each week before teaching the students. Yeah. He got such high ratings because, of course, he was using his intuition to bring through what was most important. I've actually learned to teach like that over the years, to let go of a lot of the over-preparing and the overthinking and the force-feeding, to just that stir-fry on the spot with the vegetables provided by the class. And so it's just that next level of spiritual work where we open up what has been happening behind the scenes, and there we allow people to assist us with the church and to build their own without that sense that they're taking something away. And it's freedom. It's the 1111 energy, is that everyone has that equal opportunity and equal right to flourish in their own special way.
Definitely. Oh, well, yeah, I love that Rabbit is a 7 as well. And of course,
That's so
yes.
the universe is constantly laughing at us.
Absolutely. I did not know that Rabbit equaled 7. And this is what I said earlier, that, the numerology nerd in her full glory is here, because she knows she knows it all when it comes to that stuff. And yeah, absolutely. Again, if you haven't listened to
rabbits take a leap of faith. They're very easily
yeah.
killed, and they're very vulnerable. But if they stay in their burrows, they can never find a partner. They can never get sunlight. And so, look, it is a risk to come out of your hole or your cave. And at the same time, how are people going to find you if you are just buried under work, or buried, and hidden and hiding? So there's something here about allowing yourself to come out of the dark. And look, the only other thing I could suggest is, look, there's a couple of famous people I wanted to very briefly talk about.
Yes.
The Queen was a 7. Princess Diana was a 7. The Queen was a 25-7. At 25, her father died and she suddenly became promoted to Queen. And 7 is about sudden elevation and sudden evolution. Elon Musk is a 7. At 34, he barely saved his company by getting this contract with NASA. It was a long story. And it was very much like a last-minute slapdash thing that suddenly elevated him. And we can see at the moment he's doing some very interesting things, which obviously are triggering people. But all I can suggest is I feel like he's sort of being this very unpopular nurse to an ailing company. And it's very obvious that Twitter was struggling well before he came on the scene. Look, he's never been known for having any social skills, let's face it. But in terms of making money, he knows how to do it. And I think that's what we can learn. Because in the end, you make money by doing things other people don't want to do. If it's something people want to do, like holding babies at the hospital, you've got to fight the volunteers for that. And so if money is something that you really want, at some point, you've got to sort of find something that combines your passion as well as, something that people actually need done that they find hard. And that's where a lot of those spiritual healers, I feel, next year will enjoy. They will enjoy the rewards, as we've sort of talked about a few times. So, yeah, look, thank you so much for having me on. I feel like I've just kind of randomly talked, but some sort of structure there, I feel.
It's been absolutely perfect. It's been probably totally in 7 alignment. There's so much to talk about. There's so much to get through.
Do that too. Yeah, when they talk, they often tell stories and you can't figure out why, and then they go away and you go, oh my God, that was so profound. They kind of weave this energy, because obviously 7 was starting to move into energy healing realms like Reiki 7 energy. So, it's moving into the realms where we allow spirit to come in and do the job with us.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so wonderful to have you on, Sarah, and thank you so much for sharing all of your 7 information. And of course, you're going to go and check out Sarah's forecast as well when she talks about the rabbit and 7 and all the things that she does.
Yeah,
life path. I know, it's so great. I'm going to share that as soon as you do it. Let me know. I'll share that to my community as well. And of course, you've all now finished this panel of 2023 with the cherry on top, which is Sarah Yip. Thank you so much for sharing this 2023 7 collective energy so in depth and given us so much to think about. I've absolutely loved it. Like I said, I've got 2 pages of notes.
One tiny more thing.
Yes.
The book has a 7 energy, and I think next year people will go back to reading books.
Yes. I love that.
I have a feeling there will be some pauses for whatever reason with the economy and stuff. People are going to go back to just things that work and things that have been quality checked.
I love that. And if you aren't watching the video, Sarah is actually holding up my 2023 Energy Survival Kit. You're a darling.
But I actually bought it.
Yes, you did. Thank you so much for supporting my work.
That's part of the ethics with me. So, Tiani, I just love
so
everything
much.
you do. And I'm so grateful to everyone listening. And please go find out your life path, your personal year, and use this all to help yourself. And just remember that next year, the 7 year is the vibration of heart, the vibration of earth. This is your time. If you are a highly sensitive person, this is your time to come out and actually be loved and nourished and supported and expanded. So don't be afraid. Remember that what makes you tick is what makes everyone else run away. So we're going to have fun next year, my odd and wonderful friends.
Oh, what a perfect way to end. Thank you so much, Sarah. It's been an absolute delight having you on here, and make sure you go and check out all of Sarah's stuff. Thank you, darling. Thank you so much.
much.
Beautiful. Bye, everyone.